We're talking about the minimum viable setup that gets you recording absolutely today, not 6 months from now, today, not after you've researched every microphone known to man, today. Welcome to Fearless Podcasting Academy. I'm your host, Dr. Stephanie Dean. I've always lived in two worlds, one filled with the magic of storytelling and language, and the other wired with technology and innovation. And through the years of research and teaching and hands-on experience, I've been obsessed with one question: what makes a message truly resonate? And that's why I created the Fearless Podcasting Academy, where creators and entrepreneurs and change makers come to ditch self-doubt, amplify their voices, and build podcasts that demand attention. So whether you're launching your first episode or leveling up your platform, you're in the right place. Because when you learn to use your voice with confidence, you don't just start a podcast, you start a movement. This is Fearless Podcasting Academy. Welcome back. This is episode 3 of our Just Get Started mini-series. If you've been following along, you figured out your topic and you're feeling clear about what you want to talk about. But now you're probably staring at your computer thinking, okay, but how do I actually record this thing? So today we're talking about tech, but not the way most people talk about tech. We're talking about the minimum viable setup that gets you recording absolutely today, not 6 months from now, today, not after you've researched every microphone known to man, today. Okay, so we're going to go back and we're going to talk about Sarah again. We've talked about her a few times. Sarah came to me and she'd been getting ready to start her podcast for 8 months. 8 months. She had bookmarked 47 different microphone reviews. She had 3 different recording software programs downloaded on her computer, and she had joined 4 Facebook groups about podcasting equipment. She even had a Pinterest board called Dream Podcast Studio with $3,000 worth of gear pinned to it. And I am all for putting that affirmation out there, but here's the thing. She hadn't recorded a single second of audio. So when I asked her what was really going on, she said, I just want to make sure that I have the right setup before I start. I don't want to sound unprofessional. And oh my gosh, I get the imposter syndrome. I get that. Does that sound familiar to you? Here's what's really happening when we get stuck in tech research mode. We're using perfectionism as procrastination. We're telling ourselves that we're being thorough or that we're being professional, but what we're really doing is avoiding the vulnerable act of putting our voice out there. I get the imposter syndrome. I know I've mentioned on here several times that I felt the same way. I started thinking about what if the students I used to teach at university hear this? And what if their podcast is better? And what if I'm teaching this, but I make a mistake? I get the imposter syndrome. And of course, like, would this microphone make me sound better than that microphone? Would this $400 Shure microphone sound better than this like $80 Rode mic? No. The much less expensive Rode mic that I'm using right now is perfect. It was perfect for my first 50 episodes, and it's going to be great for a long time to come. Because the truth is that your audience cares more about your message than your microphone. They care more about your consistency than your studio setup. And they definitely care more about you showing up than having the perfect sound quality. So here is what I have learned after helping hundreds now of people starting their podcasts. There is a minimum viable setup that will make you sound professional without breaking the bank or overwhelming you with choices. So I've got a promise for you. I am going to give you exactly what I give my students in the 30 Days to Launch program. The minimum viable podcast setup, say that 10 times fast, that gets you recording today for under $100. So we're going to cover the only 3 pieces of equipment that you actually need, the 1 free software that I recommend for beginners, my 5-minute audio test that tells you if you're even ready to record, and how to use Voxie. That's the storytelling automation tool to help you plan your episodes so that you never sit down to record wondering, what am I going to say? By the end of this episode, you're going to have everything you need to record your first episode this week. Not next month, not next week, this week. Okay, that 3-piece setup that we talked about. Let's start with equipment. So piece 1, you need a decent microphone. You do not need a $200 microphone to start. You don't need the Shure $400 microphone to start. You need a microphone that picks up your voice clearly without picking up every sound in the house, right? So what's my top recommendation? The Audio-Technica ATR 2100X USB. It's about $79. It plugs directly into your computer with USB, but it also has an XLR output if you ever want to upgrade to an audio interface later. It sounds better than microphones costing 3 times as much, and it's what I recommend to every single student in my program. So why this specific mic? It's what's called a dynamic microphone. So it picks up sound directly in front of it and rejects background noise. So if your dog barks in another room or your neighbor starts mowing or your air conditioner goes on, the mic won't pick it up the way a cheaper condenser mic would. So if $79 feels too much right now, here are 2 alternatives. The Samsung Q2U is about $70, so it's similar, but it's a very similar quality and features. Or you can use the voice note on your app and the microphone with your headphones. It's not ideal, but it does work, and it can get you going in the beginning. A lot of podcasters actually start out with the microphone in their headset. So before you buy anything, do this test. Record 2 minutes of yourself talking using your phone and the microphone or a mic in a quiet room. You want to record 2 minutes of yourself talking into either your microphone that you have just purchased or your phone with the earbuds and speak in your normal voice. You might be surprised by how decent it sounds, especially if you have a newer phone. Okay, so piece 2, headphones. You do actually need headphones to monitor your recording. This means listening to yourself as you record to catch any issues in real time. And I know it's uncomfortable. But I promise you, 1, it gets easier, and 2, it makes a big difference. This doesn't mean you need expensive studio headphones. Any decent over-the-ear headphones will work. The Sony MDR 7506 headphones are the gold standard for about $100, and this is what I'm using. But honestly, the headphones that come with your phone, that works just fine to start with. You do not need fancy pants earphones. But here's what you're listening for. Can you hear your voice clearly? Are there any weird echoes? Is there any background noise you didn't notice? Headphones let you catch these issues while recording instead of discovering them later and going, oh, great, how do I edit this out? So piece 3, you need a quiet space with good acoustics. This is the most important and most free piece of equipment you need. You're looking for a quiet room with some soft surfaces, like your bedroom or a walk-in closet. I've mentioned the walk-in closet many times, or even a car parked in your garage. Hard surfaces are going to create echoes and soft surfaces are going to absorb it. So a room with carpet or curtains or a bed or upholstered furniture will sound better than a kitchen with tile floors and bare walls. So here are some pro tips learned from an audio engineer that I used to work with. Record facing away from windows and hard walls. Hang a thick blanket behind you while you record because it's going to absorb sound reflections. And if you're in a pinch, record under a blanket fort. Yeah, it really works. And it's kind of fun. So closets full of clothes make excellent recording booths. Avoid rooms with ceiling fans or turn them off, or air conditioning or refrigerators humming nearby. The goal is not going to be a perfect studio. The goal is consistent, clear audio that doesn't distract from your message. So the total cost so far, under $100. So if you buy the microphone, or literally $0 if you start with your phone and your existing microphones if you already have the phone. So let's look at a software solution, right? So recording software, there are dozens of options. And yes, you could spend weeks researching them. Don't do it. I'm going to give you 2 recommendations based on how you plan to podcast, right? So for solo episodes, Audacity, it's free. So if you're planning to record by yourself most of the time, Audacity is perfect. It's completely free. It's simple, does everything you need without overwhelming you. You don't need to be online to do it. And it has features that you won't use for months. So here is my Audacity in 5-minute setup. You want to download Audacity from audacityteam.org. Make sure you get it from the official site. Then you install it. It's straightforward. You just follow the prompts. And then you're going to plug in your microphone. You're going to open Audacity and go to the audio settings or preferences on a Mac. And then under recording, you need to select the microphone that you're going to use as your input device. That's super important. And then select your recording quality to 44.1 kilohertz, 16-bit. This is CD quality and perfect for podcasts. And then you're going to hit the red record button and just start talking. That's it. You're recording solo episodes like a pro. So a few Audacity tips. Always do a test recording first to check your levels. Make sure you sound okay. Aim for your audio peaks to hit around -12 to -6 dB. You're going to see this on the meter. And if you make a mistake, pause, wait a second, and continue. You can cut those mistakes out later. You want to export as a WAV for best quality or an MP3 if you need smaller file sizes. So for interviews, though, or co-hosts, I recommend Riverside FM if you're planning to have guests or co-hosts. Riverside FM has seriously improved their interface, and now it's my top recommendation for remote recording. If you had listened to me a month ago or 3 months ago, I would have said Descript, but man, Riverside has knocked it out of the park. Their free version gives you up to 2 hours recording per month, which is perfect when you're starting out. But here is the game changer. It records each person locally on their own device, then uploads the higher quality files to the cloud. You don't get that choppy, compressed Zoom call sound, even if someone's internet hiccups during the conversation. This setup for your guests is incredibly simple. You send them a link, they click it, and join through their browser. No downloads required. Riverside automatically tests their mic and their connection. You hit record, and then suddenly you're capturing studio quality audio from both of you. Riverside has seriously listened to podcaster feedback over the past year. Their interface is clean, it's intuitive. I am not affiliated with them, so this is an honest recommendation. They have features like automatic transcription, which they've had for a while. They have built-in editing tools, which have really gotten better. But here's what I love about Riverside for interviews. They have progressive upload, so even if someone's internet cuts out, you don't lose the whole recording. They have separate audio tracks for each person, which makes editing so much easier. So if someone's dog barks, you can mute them while their dog is barking, and you can continue with your recording. And they have video recording too. So if you want to repurpose for YouTube or LinkedIn or whatever, it's there. And the thing that really made me switch from Descript, because I like Descript for editing still a little bit better, but what's really made me switch to Riverside is just the ease of co-hosting or the ease of having a guest, because you can schedule them, you can book them, and it's easier for them to get in there and not have to go through a bunch of tech hoops to get in and start recording with you. So I can have people that are not tech savvy at all jump in, and it's seamless. So bottom line, Audacity for solo episodes and Riverside for anything with other people, although Riverside works for solo episodes too. Pick based on your format, and you'll be recording this week, not researching for months. So quick note on other software, you might hear about other programs like GarageBand, which is Mac only, or Hindenburg, or Adobe Audition, and they're all great, but they're either more expensive or have a steeper learning curve. So start simple and then upgrade later if you need more features. Let's go to the 5-minute audio test, right? So before you record your first real episode, I want you to do this comprehensive test. I call it the Tech Check Protocol, and it has saved my students hours of frustration. So step 1 is the basic test setup of all your equipment in your chosen space. Press record and talk for 2 minutes about anything. Describe your day, talk to your dog, read a paragraph from a book, tell a story about your morning coffee. The content does not matter, you're just doing an audio check. So step 2 is the playback analysis listen. So you're going to listen back with your headphones on, and ask yourself these specific questions. Can I hear my voice clearly and distinctly? Is there a distracting background noise like an air conditioning or traffic or refrigerator hum? Does my voice sound muffled like I'm talking through a pillow? Is there an echo or that bathroom reverb sound? Are there any weird pops or clicks or static sounds? Because that could be a weird wire. Step 3, the movement test. You want to record another minute where you're intentionally moving around a bit. Lean forward, lean back, turn your head slightly. This tests how forgiving your setup is to natural movement during recording. Step 4 is the troubleshooting guide. If you answered yes, no, 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 no to these questions, you're ready to record. If not, here's how to fix the most common issues. If your voice sounds muffled or far away, move closer to your microphone. You should be about 6 to 8 inches away, or about a fist. If there's background noise, try a different room or record at a different time of day. Sometimes waiting until evening when traffic dies down or your family goes to sleep makes a huge difference. If you have echo or reverb, add more soft surfaces around you. Throw pillows on the floor, hang blankets on the wall, or literally record in your closet. Do you have weird pops or static? Check your microphone connection. Make sure your recording levels aren't too high. That meter should peak, remember, around -12 to -6 dB. Or try recording without touching your microphone stand. Don't aim for perfect. Aim for good enough to serve my audience. If someone could listen to your test recording without being distracted by audio issues, you're ready to go. Okay, so here's where a lot of people get stuck after they solve the tech piece. They sit down to record and they think, wait, what am I going to actually say? This is why I created Voxie, which is our storytelling automation tool. So instead of staring at a blank page wondering how to structure your episode, Voxie is going to walk you through our proven storytelling framework that I teach in Hooked. So here's the problem that most podcasters face. They have this great expertise and valuable insights, but they don't know how to organize those thoughts into compelling content. They either ramble without structure, and trust me, remember we've talked about this, fragment queen here, or they create boring lecture-style episodes that lose their audience. So Voxie solves this by using that same 3-act storytelling structure I'm using right now in this episode. Every great podcast episode and every great story follows this pattern. So Act 1 is to hook your audience and set up the problem. Act 2 is to deliver your solution with value and examples, and Act 3 is to give them clear next steps. So here's how Voxie works in practice. You answer a few simple questions about your topic, and Voxie generates a complete episode outline using this proven framework. For example, let's say you're a business coach wanting to talk about overcoming imposter syndrome. You tell Voxie your topic is overcoming imposter syndrome and that your audience is new entrepreneurs. Your main point would be imposter syndrome is normal and manageable. So Voxie is going to generate a story outline based on what you just gave it with a compelling story hook about imposter syndrome that draws listeners in, the specific problem it creates for entrepreneurs, 3 concrete strategies to overcome it with examples, and a clear call to action that moves listeners forward and towards your services. But here's what makes Voxie different from just getting a generic template. It creates outlines specifically tailored to your expertise and your audience. It actually asks you questions to get at the heart of what your podcast episode is about. A business coach is going to get a different prompt than a health coach. Someone targeting executives is going to get different structures, suggestions than someone targeting new entrepreneurs. And the best part is that you can generate unlimited outlines for just $27. That's less than most people spend on coffee in a week, but it solves a problem that stops most podcasters before they even start recording. So to find Voxie, I have put the link in the show notes. If you're interested, if you want unlimited outlines that are tailored towards you, you can find Voxie in the show notes. This is going to be a game changer. Okay, from today's episode, here is what I want you to remember. Every successful podcaster started with imperfect equipment in an imperfect space with imperfect knowledge. Your first episode doesn't need to sound like NPR. It needs to sound like you, sharing something valuable with someone who needs to hear it. I have now worked with hundreds of podcasters, and here is what I have learned from them. The people who succeed are not the ones with the best equipment. They're the ones who start because they feel ready and improve as they go. The goal is not perfection, ever. The goal is never perfection. The goal is progress. The goal is serving your audience consistently, not impressing audio engineers. So what are your next steps? This is what I want you to do this week. Number 1, get your basic setup. Microphone, headphones, quiet space. Download Audacity and do the 5-minute audio test, or go onto Riverside and do it there. Use Voxie to outline your first episode. Having a clear structure is going to make recording so much easier. And record a practice episode. 10 minutes. Doesn't have to be perfect. Does not have to be an hour long. And then listen back and celebrate that you did it. And if you want a complete breakdown of everything we've covered today, including my equipment recommendations, I've created a free resource called the Podcast Tech Guide, Simplify Your Setup and Start Strong. It will be down in the show notes. It's everything you need to go from overwhelmed by tech to recording your first episode this week. The link is in the show notes, or you can grab it at drstephaniedean.com. So next week, in episode 4 of our Just Get Started series, we're talking about recording strategy. I am going to share the exact process I use to record an episode from start to finish in under an hour, including the mistakes that most new podcasters make that add hours to their recording time. Plus, I'll give you my one-take wonder technique that my students love because it eliminates the need for perfect takes. So if this series is helping you finally take action on your podcast idea, I'd love to hear from you. Send me a message on LinkedIn or Instagram. I'm at Dr. Stephanie Dean on both platforms. And remember, your voice matters. Your message matters. Don't let technology be a thing that keeps you from sharing it with the world. I'll see you next week with episode 4. And until then, keep it fearless.